Bells and Brawls. Oliver, Isabel, and Toad sat in the works, basking in the morning sun. They were in the final stages of their repairs and nearly ready to start work. As the workmen came towards them, Toad sighed contentedly.
"Oh, strange, isn't it?" he mused. "We spent so long roaming around, but only after finding home do I truly feel free."
"Ding, ding," chimed Isabel sleepily.
Yes, quite,"
Toad replied shakily, before whispering,
"Mr. Oliver, what did she say?"
"Oh, she said, 'I agree,'" Oliver smiled, yawning. "Goodness, Toad, all that time on the run together, and you still can't speak Bell?"
"Forgive me, Miss Isabel," Toad blushed. "Still, learning the language, as it were."
"Ding," Isabel replied cheerfully. It was then that they noticed something. Another auto coach was in their company. "Hello! Didn't mean to wake you. I'm just so excited. Heard the workmen whispering of your adventures. Been itching to talk to you. Call me Dulcie." "Ding-a-ling," went Isabel. Sorry, what?" "She said, 'I'm Isabel. Nice to meet you,'" smiled Oliver. "Are you having me on?" Dulcie frowned. No, that's just how she talks. We've worked together for years. To me, her dings and chimes are as clear as bell." "Fascinating," Dulcie beamed. "In that case, ding-ding to you too." Oliver gasped. "Ding," Isabel scowled. "What's that mean?"
"I think," Toad inferred, "that you offended her, Miss Dulcie."
"What?" Dulcie shrieked. "Oh, I'm sorry. I truly didn't mean—" "It's all right," Oliver chuckled. "You'll learn soon enough. We know you mean no harm. Don't we, Isabel?" "Ding," Isabel chimed apologetically. Dulcie smiled, but she couldn't shake a nervous twinge in her frames. On the other railway, Oliver and Isabel worked as a duo. When they began work on Duck's branch line, Dulcie was placed at the rear of the train, which made Isabel nervous. "I know you're used to lookout duty," Oliver soothed, "but Dulcie needs to learn the route, and our ways." While she agreed this was important, Isabel was annoyed to find that Dulcie didn't seem to be learning anything, except how to chit-chat with Oliver. "So there I sat, collecting cobwebs, when up walks a dapper gentleman, our fat controller, of course, and he tells me I'm perfect for the job." "Well, of course you are," Oliver smirked. "The fat controller is a smart man. He knows the value of our heritage." "Aye," Dulcie beamed, "he does. Only a Western engine will do for me," I told him. "Very gracious of him to—" "Ding-ding-a-ling, ding!" "Can't you let me finish?" But Isabel couldn't, for she'd noticed what Oliver and Dulcie hadn't: the station and the passengers gawking as the train nearly sailed past. Screeching to a halt, they just stopped in time. The passengers tutted as they stepped aboard. Dulcie was embarrassed. She tried her best to focus on the line ahead, but her thoughts were interrupted by a subdued chiming. Yes, I know, Isabel," Oliver tried to whisper. "It was a mistake. Don't go on about it." "If you're going to talk about me," Dulcie snapped as they reached the last station, "have the brass to bellow it out." "Isabel wasn't gossiping about you. She was scolding me," Oliver replied. "You must think you're so clever," Dulcie fumed, turning on Isabel. "I make one gaffe, and you ding that dratted thing into light. Well, have your lark. So long as I'm attached to you, I'm not going anywhere." And she didn't. There was nothing anyone could do to make her move. In the end, Oliver put space between the two seething coaches and found himself in the middle of the train. Things were no better over the next few days. They trundled along, saying nothing to each other. Oliver soon found humor in the situation. "A good thing you two aren't rail cars like Daisy. You'd bring the whole branch to a halt. Imagine, passengers left stranded over bells and brawls." Unsurprisingly, this didn't elicit a reaction from either coach. It had been a trying day for Douglas and Toad. The ballast trucks had been unruly, and they were eager to rest. As they rattled through Haltraw, there was a crack, a clatter, and a bump. A rotten plank on an old wagon had given way. It derailed on the ballast that spilled out its side.
"Och, private owners," Douglas fumed. Now, Mr. Douglas, wood rot could happen to any wagon," Toad replied sympathetically.
"Not if they're properly maintained," Douglas grunted.
"It's not for lack of trying," groaned Gabe, the wounded truck. "It's me owners who don't give me proper care."
"They'll have to repair you now," Toad chuckled. "But until then, it's a fine mess we're in." It looked like things were about to get messier. In the distance, Toad saw another train approaching.
"Ah, that must be Mr. Oliver. I'm sure he'll stop and keep us company."
But Oliver had cleared the last signal box before the warning could be sent along. He was still chortling as they approached. "What funny coaches you are! What would you do if I weren't here to look after you, eh?"
"Ding, ding-a-ling, ding!"
Too busy laughing, Oliver didn't recognize Isabel's warning. But Dulcie did.
"Stop, Oliver! Stop!"
That did the trick. Oliver stopped snickering and braked hard. With great relief, they stopped just beside the platform.
"Hello, Miss Isabel," smiled Toad. "Did you fancy a thrill?"
"Ding, ding," Isabel grimaced.
What did she say, Toad?"
asked Dulcie meekly.
Well," Toad hesitated. "Let's just say it wouldn't be a nice thing to repeat."
Oliver's face, white as a sheet, told Dulcie all she needed to know. As the wreckage was cleared, the coaches sat in silence once more. Finally, Dulcie spoke.
Well, she began shakily, "I'm glad Isabel saw the danger, or we'd be in a sorry state."
She paused.
"Oh, Isabel, I'm sorry I got cross. You really are a clever coach. I hope I can be as good as you one of these days."
Isabel smiled and gave a cheerful ding. "You know," Oliver said loftily, "if you think about it, I'm the reason you two have made up, so—"
"You really are the most conceited engine sometimes."
Oliver had never heard Isabel speak with such fury. Dulcie had never heard her speak at all.
You can talk."
"Well, yes," Isabel murmured, "but I prefer to use my bell, you see."
"In that case," Dulcie smiled, "could you teach me how to talk bell?"
"I'd like that," Isabel smiled. "Though perhaps we'll need a new code for when this one starts acting up," she finished, motioning to Oliver. For once, the Western engine was at a loss for words. I'm pleased to say that all three are now great friends. Dulcie is fluent in bell speak, and although Isabel prefers her old ways, she's comfortable enough to speak up around her new cohort. Their bells ring so much, the driver and fireman joke they must have gone to church instead of work. For his part, Oliver has been somewhat humbled. He still gets cocky from time to time, but knows when to reel it in. If he doesn't, he'll hear about it, whether it's a chide or a chime.